25% tariffs on European vehicles, a 30-day ticking clock for intellectual property enforcement in Vietnam, and massive new duty-free trade corridors opening up across South America and Africa. The global trade landscape is shifting rapidly this week. Are your supply chains ready to adapt?
Welcome to This Week in Trade, bringing you a quick roundup of the latest international trade news and analysis from GOIDA Limited's director George Riddell and the Geneva Trade Platform.
We start in the United States, where tariff policies continue to dominate the headlines. President Trump announced this week that he will raise US tariffs on European Union cars and trucks to 25% due to the lack of speed in getting the deal agreed last year implemented on the European side. The European Parliament and Council of the EU were in the final stages of agreeing just this for June 2026. At the time of recording, no official announcement of this latest threat being implemented. Watch this space. However, the news is brighter for the UK beverage industry. Following a meeting with King Charles, President Trump plans to remove tariffs on UK whiskey. This aligns with the implementation of the Economic Prosperity Deal, which is securing preferential access for whiskey and other American and British goods. Turning our attention to Asia, companies operating in or sourcing from Vietnam need to be on high alert. For the first time in 13 years, the US Trade Representative has designated Vietnam as a priority foreign country regarding intellectual property enforcement. The USTR cited widespread counterfeiting, online piracy, and a lack of criminal penalties for signal theft. The business implication is that this designation starts a 30-day clock on potential Section 301 actions against Vietnam. The European Union is also facing scrutiny from the US Trade Representative, having been upgraded to the priority watch list. The core disputes resolve around pharmaceutical test data protections and the EU's geographic indication rules, which the US argues overly restrict widely traded terms like certain cheese names. Speaking of Europe, the confusing timeline surrounding the EU Deforestation Regulation, or EUDR, finally has some clarity. The European Commission has confirmed that full application will begin on the 30th of December 2026 for large and medium operators, and the 30th of June 2027 for micro and small operators. Notably, the updated guidelines confirm that e-commerce is explicitly in scope, meaning online marketplaces and cross-border distance sellers must comply. More detail is expected this week on the implementation of the EUDR. Let's shift our focus to a macro trend defining trade this week: the global race to secure trade ties and critical resources in the developing world, particularly across Africa. In the last few days, the US, EU, and China have all made changes regarding their preferential trade programs. First, the European Parliament just approved its updated General Scheme of Preferences, or GSP, setting the framework for trade with developing nations starting in 2027. This 10-year scheme will offer reduced or zero tariffs on products from 65 developing countries and maintains the everything but arms arrangement for least developed nations. Meanwhile, the United States is actively reviewing its own trade preference program, the American Growth and Opportunity Act, or AGOA. The US Trade Representative is currently seeking public comments until the 15th of May on how to overhaul this initiative. Crucially, the USTR is looking at how to modify AGOA to improve the resilience of US supply chain, specifically for critical minerals, alongside ways to boost US exports and other cross-sector investment. But in China, it's now catching up with the EU and the US in offering duty-free, quota-free access to many African countries. As of the 1st of May, Beijing broadened its tariff-free policy to grant tariff-free treatment to 53 African countries, a massive leap from the 33 least developed nations it covered back in December of 2024. With the exception of Eswatini, this sweeping tariff-free access will remain in place until April 2028. Finally, one last update. As of the 1st of May, the highly anticipated EU Mercosur interim trade agreement has provisionally gone into effect, meaning that businesses can now use the tariff preferences and rules of origin.
Those are the headlines from This Week in Trade. To go deeper, check out more comprehensive breakdown of these and other developments on George's LinkedIn. This is a new series we'll be looking to evolve and expand based on your feedback, refining what we're presenting, and adding new voices. Let us know in the comments below and via the contact form on GTP's website how we can make this a more relevant and useful accompaniment to your coffee.